Hi everybody, John Cottrell here of MBODY Yoga, and this is Soft Flow Yoga. Have you ever wanted to learn how to do the splits? Well, stay tuned and I'll show you. Let's begin our practice in seated. We'll take a few moments just to get into breath, get present and connected. Let me first mention what props that we'll need to move into the splits. Now the splits seem very intimidating, and it can be, and it's a very intense pose, but I have a soft flow way of getting into the posture. These are the props that you will need. Now you may need actually a floor. You can't do this on the carpet because we have to be able to slide. You'll see that later. And also we need 4 blocks, or something that can resemble blocks. It could be some stacked books, okay? So I've got my 4 blocks here, and you'll need a blanket. I'm actually sitting on my blanket, and we'll need that. You might want to have 2 blankets. If you don't have 2 blankets, we're actually going to do something where we'll just fold the mat. Don't worry about that now. Let's just get into breath. Let's start with a few deep breaths. Nice full inhale. Fill up the lungs, and exhale with the sigh. Good. Another nice full breath in, and release. Just feel the body soften here. Moving into our meditation. You can do this with your eyes closed, or if you happen to have your eyes open, just keep your eyelids soft. You might just gaze downward at the floor. We're just going to take a few moments here as we make our way to the present moment, feel more aware of our bodies, our minds, our emotions. We'll also set our intention. I decided to do this posture, the splits, because it does have some meaning in yoga. In Sanskrit, the pose is called Hanumanasana. Hanumanasana. So the first part of that is actually a name, Hanuman. And Hanuman is one of those Hindu gods that we cherish. And there's a lot of stories about Hanuman. But one of the things that he represents is actually love and devotion. And so perhaps your intention for your practice today is about love and devotion. Now that love and devotion starts here, starts inside with you, loving yourself, being devoted to yourself. We take that time here with our breath. Taking the time to care for ourselves, be aware of ourselves, and love ourselves. Good. Let's take 3 more breaths. Let's add a very simple movement. We'll inhale and extend the arms out and up, reaching into the air with good active hands and fingers. And exhale, let's bring the arms out and down. Let's do that a few more times. Here we go. Inhale, reaching out with good energy and effort, reaching high. And if it feels okay, tip your chin up. Maybe you can see your fingertips. On the exhale, you can bring your head back to neutral. Extend the arms out, feel as if you'll touch the walls on either side of you, and complete that round of breath. Let's do 2 more like that. Inhale, reach out and up. Tip gaze upward. Exhale, head to neutral, arms out and down. Noticing the movement of your shoulders, that lengthening through the sides of the body. 1 more time. Reaching out and up, look up. Exhale, look forward, arms out and down. Good. Just a little circle of the shoulders here, maybe a couple of times backward and a couple of times forward. Let's make a slow transition to hands and knees. If you have a nice thick mat, you can probably just do this on your mat, but if you need some extra padding, maybe double up your mat, place another mat on top, or maybe a blanket or a towel. and move into cat and cow. So an inhale to tip chin up, arching the back, creating that back bend. Exhale, tuck the pelvis under, feel your belly button draw up towards spine, rounding of the back, chin to chest. Make sure your hands feel firmly pressed into the earth, maintaining strong straight arms. Inhale for the cow pose. Exhale, rounding the back, cat pose. Let's do a few more like this, just to create some good mobility through the spine and hips. Let's do this one last time. Inhale, exhale. Come back to a neutral tabletop posture for a moment. Let's just take some of the pressure off the wrists. Tuck your toes, sit back towards your heels, walk your hands towards your knees, just so that you can take your hands off the mat. Maybe just a little circle of the wrists, wiggle your fingers, just to take some of that pressure. Or you can do a counter flip of the hands, maybe a gentle pulse into your blanket or your yoga mat. Just like that. Good. When we come back out to hands and knees and bring the knees closer together, take the hands a little wider just to get a little bit more into the hips. I'm going to slowly send my hips over to my left side just to get a little stretch kind of near the hip bone over there. And I like to gently shift forward and back as if I was giving it a gentle massage. For me, that feels really good because I'm pretty tight in those areas. And then up and over to the other side. This is my right side, sitting into sensation. I like to just notice that feeling and then slowly rocking forward and back. We're getting into the hips because, of course, the Hanuman pose or the splits does involve our hips and our hamstrings. Okay, come back up to center. I'm going to sit back and actually a little bit off to my left side. I'm going to bring my right foot around to the front here. And I want to bring in my blocks here. Okay, just on either side of me. We're going to rise up until we're nice and tall. So we have a nice 90-degree angle with both legs. But let's pay attention to this front leg. We're going to lean back a little bit. I'm just going to move this right foot way forward, maybe even off my blanket there. Gentle press into the thigh with an inhale to get nice and tall. Now the exhale is to slowly shift forward, just enough until you restack the knee over ankle, not passing it. Now you're not going to feel too much in this right leg. You're going to probably feel more of this in your left leg, the left hip flexor, because that's the part we really need to stretch getting into the splits. Because we're actually already working towards it. One leg will be back behind us. One leg will be out in front of us. So I'm going to push into thigh one more time, nice and tall, because I want to feel quite lifted. Because of this certain lunge, we're creating a kind of a back bend because of that leg extension behind us. And so if there's any tension back here in that low back, we want to rise up out of it. So we want to feel lifted. Now, if it feels a little bit too strained, maybe just lean forward. You can just bring your forearms down to your thigh, right here. Okay, I'm going to go a little deeper. Actually, I'm going to move my right foot forward. This is where your blocks could come in handy, because you can just kind of lean forward, just to help support yourself, and gently allow the hips to sink towards the floor. Take your time with this. You don't want to force this stretch, because sometimes we can actually overstretch the hip flexor. I know that happens for me sometimes. And so if you're going to move into the position, even if you're quite flexible, take your time, go slowly, so you're not shocking the body. Good. So we're working this left hip flexor for about 3 more breaths, and then we're going to sit back. We'll just call it a half split to work the right leg and get into that hamstring. Alrighty, 3 more breaths, finishing up. So I'm just pushing into the block so I can pull the hips back, kind of using the blocks to help walk myself back. Keep walking back until I can actually sit back And I'm actually going to use this block like a little bench to sit on right here. So I'm just sitting on the block. This left knee is now bent. We're out of that hip flexor, but now we have a nice extension of this right leg. Now, because there's space underneath this knee, you want to be mindful of not hyperextending because we are going to fold a little bit. So you might want to place something. I'm just going to use this block underneath that right leg. You can even turn it up a little bit. That's nice, just like that. So again, I'm just pressing gently into the thigh in order to encourage the lifting and lengthening of the upper body. Inhale and exhale. I'm leading with my heart and chin coming forward. I'm actually going to get my other blocks here. See? So nice to have so many blocks to help support myself as I'm going gently forward. Yes, feeling this stretch. Ooh, I'm also feeling this in my back, which feels quite nice. Breathing. Now, because poses sometimes can get pretty intense, we want to make sure we're still breathing. Let's take about 3 more breaths here. Alrighty? So we're working the hamstrings of this right leg. Okay, I'm going to carefully make my way back up, just using these blocks to help press and lift. Let me move these blocks out of the way for now. Lifting myself back to the original pose. I'm going to move these blocks to the side here, coming back up to that original posture here. And just kind of bending over, placing hands way over on my left side so I can bring this right leg around to the back, coming back to the knees. And we'll do the other side. So I'm going to bring my hands over to the right. I'm going to step my left foot forward. I'm just going to do the other side here. Come back up onto the leg, ready to go. Leaning back a little bit, moving this left foot forward, changing this angle. Gentle press of thigh. Inhale, lift up, encouraging the lengthening of the spine. Exhale, slowly send hips forward. Just watching this. Knee stays stacked over ankle. Get into that first sensation of the right hip flexor stretch. Push down into thigh, lift up to help decompress that low back since we're in this back bend sensation. To release that, maybe just come down to forearms here. I'm going to go a little deeper, just moving the toes forward so I can lunge a little deeper, keeping this alignment of knee over ankles. This is where your blocks can come in handy. Prop yourself up. Inhale. Even feel like you're moving forward. Exhale very slowly. Allow the hips to sink. Gentle stretch so we're not shocking the body, not overwhelming the body. Right hip flexor stretch. Breathing with intention. 3 to 5 breaths. And we're going to get ready for our half split so we can get into the hamstrings of this left leg. Pushing into the block so I can push my hips back, getting out of that sensation. Using my blocks to help walk back, sit back. Using this block here as a little bench underneath my glutes and hamstrings on the left leg here so I can sit. That way it takes some of the pressure off this right knee, just a little bit. And we're not going to be here too long. Using this block here for a little extra support so I don't hyperextend the left leg as I fold forward. Gentle, just placing the hands on the thigh. Inhale, get tall. Exhale, lead with heart and chin. Slowly hinge forward. I'm going to bring in these blocks here for a little extra support as I fold. So nice, especially when you take your time with this. You can allow your body just to ease into it. Less likely for the body to kind of snap into that fight or flight response when you do something intense. But here, if we move slowly into it, you can maintain this good quality of breath. Heart rate still is good. And it's more of an ease into the posture. All right, one more breath. And then we'll make our way back up. Blocks over here. Pressing to lift myself up out of this pose. Moving my props out to the side, returning to the original position here. Alrighty, now we can certainly do this again and even do some other postures to help really stretch out the hip flexors and hamstrings. But let's go ahead and start moving into our Hanumanasana. All right, I'm gonna bring my hands to the floor here, come back to my knees, and I wanna get everything nicely set up. Alrighty, I'm gonna fold this blanket, set it to the side. Now, I need my floor space, so this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna fold my mat. I'm gonna bring it way in like this, and this will act as extra padding for one of my knees. And then this blanket will go out onto the floor, right about here. Make some space between your blanket or folded mat and the blanket here, because you're gonna take two of your blocks and place them in between like this. Then two extra blocks out to the side. Now I'm going to do my splits on my left side. So that means I'm going to bring my left foot. I'm doing my left foot, even though we just did that stretch over here. I'm doing my left leg because it happens to be not as flexible as my right leg. So I always start with my left on this pose. So we have the foot on the blanket, which is going to act as a slide on the floor. We have our two blocks here. I call them walking sticks. And then the two blocks in center are my tower of support. Now I'm going to turn one of these blocks much higher, like that, okay? Because whatever level of flexibility you have, you might be able to do this. So I have my right knee on this pad, left foot on the slidey pad, walking sticks here, leaning forward. Inhale, lengthening through torso as if I'm moving forward. Exhale, slowly starting to slide forward. Now, not going too far because I want to maintain the correct position for my tower of support here. I want to make sure it stays right underneath the hamstrings. So I'm just moving them, getting them nicely aligned as I'm sliding forward. And I can actually feel my leg begin to rest on this tower of support, pushing into the blocks so I can stay lifted and actually take some of that dramatic sensation out of the leg. So this could be your splits, just like this. You can see I'm not all the way down, nor do you need to go all the way down. This is a perfect place to be. And this is as far as I'm going to take this today. I probably could go a little deeper, but I think we'll just stop here for now. A couple of deep breaths. Good. Coming out of the pose, I'm pushing down into the blocks, and with an exhale, a little engaged core sensation so I can then pull this left foot back, coming back to our original position. I'm going to bring both blocks over here just so I can move this left foot off the blanket, put the knee on the mat here, get set up for the other side. Foot on the pad, and there we go. Getting the tower of support underneath that leg. Now I have a little bit more flexibility on this leg, so I'm going to, right now my top block is at level 3. I'm going to turn it down to level 2. Right there. Walking sticks ready. Inhale, extend through spine. Exhale, slowly slide forward. Walking sticks to help support. Making sure my tower of support stays underneath hamstrings. I'm going to go a little deeper here. I can already sense this. Making sure my blocks are in place, sitting on the blocks there. This is a little deeper for me, but my right leg is okay. But still pushing down into the blocks to help lift and lengthen through the torso so I'm not compressed in that low back. Because if I push down and lift up, we have that back bend feel, especially with that leg extended back behind us. Okay? And if you see pictures of Hanumanasana, you'll see some resemblance. Leg out front, leg out back, tall upper body. 2 more breaths. Wonderful stretch. And I'm going to fold forward to get out of that back bend feel. Push down into the blocks, engage core, and slide back. Bringing my blocks over to my left side so I can bring this right foot back around. I'm just going to take a moment and bring my props back to their original position. Unfolding my mat here. I'm going to bring my bolster in and take a seat. So that's Hanumanasana, our splits. And why is it a pose of love and devotion? Well, if you read a little bit about Hanumanasana or Hanuman, briefly, his story is about his devotion to his king. He takes this grand journey for the king, and he leaps from one mountaintop to another mountaintop. And so the image of Hanuman leaping or jumping looks like the splits. So his devotion to his king by traveling across the world, by leaping from mountaintop to mountaintop, represents his love. So for love of ourselves, let's take a breath in and out. One last movement. Inhale, extend your arms out and up. Tip your gaze upward. Exhale, look forward. Bring hands together and down to your heart. Taking one more breath. And as we come to the close of our practice together, we bow, saying, Namaste. Thank you so much for watching and participating in this yoga lesson. To help us with the channel so we can continue to bring you more content, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. It's really appreciated. Namaste.